She take my money when I'm in need. Yeah, she's a trifling friend indeed.
Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead. For Lopez, 4 kids, and I gotta take all of that. Get your kids, but then they got their friends. I pulled up in the Benz, they all got a fin. We all went to den, and then I had to pay. If you fucking with this girl, then you better be paid. You know what? It take too much to touch her. From what I heard, she got a baby by Buster. My best friend said she used to fuck with Usher. I don't care what none of y'all say, I still love her. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead. 18 years, she got one of your kids, got you for 18 years. I know somebody paying child support for one of his kids. His baby mama car crib is bigger than his. You will see him on TV any given Sunday. Win a Super Bowl and drive off in a Hyundai. She was supposed to buy your shorty Tyco with your money. She went to the doctor, got Lyco with your money. She walk around looking like Michael with your money. Shoulda got that insured Geico for your money. If you ain't no punk, holla, we want prenup. We want prenup, yeah. It's something that you need to have. And when she leave, she gon' leave with half. 18 years, and on her 18th birthday, found out it wasn't his. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead. I ain't saying you a gold digger, you got knees. You don't wanna do the smoke, but he can't do it with the sleeves. But while y'all wash him, he gon' make it 2 beans out of that. He got that ambition, baby. Look at his eyes. This week he mopping floors, next week is the fries. So step outside. I know his dudes ballin', and yeah, that's nice. And they gon' keep calling and trying, but you stay right, girl. And when you get on, you leave your for a white girl. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead. Let me hear that back.
Oh, well, that's actually not a picture of Canada. But anyway, there you go. So, yeah, there you have it. A bold song for a bold statement. So something that has been kind of brewing for a little while as I'm watching everyone's videos and kind of making my own and whatnot. Everything's kind of forging together. I wanted to make this video a lot earlier, but I think I've mentioned before that I have trouble finding facts and pulling things together, and there's a part of me that really doesn't want to do videos without having that all put out. But then there's also part of me that's like, wow, if I were to wait to find all this information, I'm never going to make the video. And there's a really good chance that somebody out there watching my videos can help me out and help me find this information. So I decided to dig anyway. So what I'm kind of getting at, my choice of song and the presentation I'm about to give is, you know, I've been looking at the maps and looking at the history, and, you know, I really truly believe that the people who were living here previous to those that came over, either by force, as we're sort of noticing, there seems to be this sort of like forced migration thing that happens every so often, every couple hundred years or so, or less. And so who's to say that, you know, people weren't pushed to come here I went to a place called Pioneer Village today and discovered a whole lot about British home children, which was just absolutely horrendous. And it really follows in with the whole foundling children situation. And it turns out that basically up to 1 in 10 Canadians coming from European heritage is likely to be, related to a British home child. Excuse me. And these were children that were basically brought over to Canada and Australia and other Commonwealth countries, either with permission or often without any consent from their parents. So we have a huge problem on our hands. There's a lot of people who are missing pieces of their history, and so I've decided to get involved, and I got the name of the lady who put together this exhibit, and I want to offer my help because I think it's truly a very important part of our history as a nation and as a global, as a humanity, you know. We're talking about the global impact of this. Anyway, let's get back to the matter at hand, which is, I believe that we took this country, not we, because I wasn't part of it, but the people who came here took this country, or landed here, and there was a lot of people already really well established. The people that we call the Iroquois, or whoever they are, whatever. We're going to look at some maps and stuff. We're going to start looking at some of the names of the different groups of people that were here. They refer to themselves as having tribes, so we'll look at the tribes. And, you know, there's reported to be, I think I looked up somewhere, and I really wish I could have remembered where this is. And if I do find the information for the missing pieces in the presentation, I will add them in the description. But I do believe there was something like, it was like 121 million or something population of Native, what we call Indigenous Native Americans living here when, you know, the first groups of people came over in the 1400s. And my deal is, you know, why would they be killed in droves? Like, why would they be killed in the millions? And, you know, if they were living in, and I'm sorry, oh, awesome. If they were living in a settlements like this, okay, which is what we're told, like, why would they be basically killed in what would, you know, is only able to be called like a genocide if this is what they were doing, right? So I don't believe that. I think that they were living in these incredible buildings that we're now finding, you know, all over the city. So let's have a couple of looks at some of these old buildings. So I've just grabbed a couple of things from Toronto, and I do want to show you guys here. Like, so this is a book that my husband got for me. There's a couple of books that I just wanted to show you guys. And so there's a Toronto album, and there's Toronto album 2. And this guy, Mike Filey, apparently has done some incredible work pulling things together. And these books just have some incredible stuff. And the other one that we got is the most incredible book called Crown Assets. And it's the architecture of the Department of Public Works from 1867 to 1967 for the whole of Canada. And it's just unbelievable. And I also just wanted to put in here, and I've got some of these pictures about Toronto Islands, which was heavily populated. Like, for those of you who know Toronto Islands, this is a store. Clinton's, I believe it's called, which is just incredible. I have a better picture of that. I just sort of photographed this with my phone. And this was a parade, and you can see the somberness in their faces. Look at that. That is like full-grown, parade happening on Center Island. People lived on Center Island, which is now basically it was cleared out for it to be a fun park. And honestly, it used to be my favorite place to go in the whole world. And now after seeing these pictures, it's just devastating. There was a full-on community happening there. There were people, like, there were proper houses and shops, which again leads me to wonder what exactly was Toronto when they arrived, okay? So let's have a look at some of the buildings here. Okay, so here we go. I just grabbed a bunch of stuff. This is part of our exhibition grounds, and it's really important, I think, always to Google the exhibitions or world fairs of every major city. And of course, the CNE, the Canadian National Exhibition, is still a huge thing every year. So you're going to find tons of modern pictures. So it was actually kind of difficult to find more historical pictures. But there you go. There the antenna, right? And the cupolas, right? Okay. So a lot of these buildings actually do still exist, but a lot of these cool metal bridge work stuff doesn't. Now this is, I believe this is Trinity College. And my father actually worked at U of T, and so this is one of the main buildings there, and it still has all this Antiquitech on the top. All that stuff is still there. Totally still there. Exactly like that. It looks exactly the same, maybe a bit more ivy. Now this, I believe, is part of the Canadian National Exhibition. I don't know if this building still stands. I think they tore it down, and what you see over here, isn't it beautiful? Right? So much nicer than that. So, and then of course you see the antenna here, and again the domes. And these lights, they're everywhere. And as I do more Toronto stuff, you'll see. Okay, this is, don't know what's happening down here necessarily, but this is downtown Toronto. This is the CNE. And I love this. This is the Grand Trunk Railroad. And there's a band called the Grand Funk Railroad in the 70s. Oh, we're going to get into this actually much more in another video, but this is the big trend right now, is adding this horrendous stuff, these shards of glass. They keep doing it, and I think it's like some weird like satanic or like whatever, like it's throwing all the symmetry off. Anyway, this is like the big thing that's happening in Toronto. They're literally growing these gross crystals out of all these old buildings. They're building onto them. Okay. So, I just noticed my little magnifying glass is being activated. So I'm just going to show you guys the tops there. So just beautiful. And this is, of course, the thing, right? And we still see that all over the city. And I'm going to show you, I have tons of pictures of places that look like modern places that have it too. And check out these lights. Aren't they great? So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So here we are, you know, the settlers come in and they move into these places. You know, I really believe that Toronto, and let's just have a quick look. Oh my goodness, look at that, right? And there they've done it there. They've mimicked it right up there. And then they have Ontario government. And they've just slapped that thing on, you know. I'm sure they chiseled something off. And look at all that. Right? Why so many flagpoles, guys? Oh, I don't know. Right? You got your lines out front. Okay. So then this is the gate for the CNE, so Canadian National Exhibition. So obviously, I guess this is a big clue, actually. I never really thought of this before. But so our CNE has never really left. It's there. It's permanent. And a lot of our buildings are permanent. And they look like a lot of the buildings that you guys have in your cities. But ours have never left. And they use them all year round. And again, right? It's all the same stuff. The ball, the post, the sphere. And you'll have to take my word for it for a lot of these pictures, but it is copper. It's all, you know, oxidized green copper. And, you know, here we go with like an electric tower there. So that's kind of interesting. Let's just go back to that for a sec. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't actually say it. It just says Dufferin Gate. Oh, 1937. Okay, so 1937 they already had like this Eiffel Tower. That's pretty full on. Okay, so this, I just had to put this in. I actually went to school with a Gooderham, so that's just crazy. Anyway, this is the Gooderham Fountain and Horticultural Building. These people were very, very rich people. I remember one day after school, it was like a Monday or something, and we had like show and tell, and she's like, oh, my family joined the Granite Club. And so I went home and I was like, Mom, Dad, I think we should join the Granite Club. My parents are like, oh, you do you? And the Granite Club is basically a place for very rich people, and not for us. Anyway, so this was their building in the CNE there. And I can't decide whether this, I think this is just like a mark on the image there. So I'm just going to keep going. Okay, again, some more incredible building. It's a little island there with a, excuse me, a lamppost. Looks pretty incredible. This is still our provincial park building. So let's quickly move over to some of these maps then, because I want to get to the heart of what I'm really talking about here. So we've already had a look. Okay, so perfect. Okay, so these are the homes that we're being told that the Indigenous people were living in, and yet we've seen all these incredible buildings, and we'll go back and we'll have a look at some more. And I just want to point out that a lot of what we're seeing with this stuff is it's drawings. So there's a sketch of this, and then there's a sketch of that, and that's a map there, some little pictures. Sorry, I believe moving down hall, I do have, here we go, yeah, another sketch, there's a mud flood, I wanted to point that out. But I do also have here, yeah, so these are teepees. Okay, so who's to say this isn't like a particular event, right? Like, people go hunting, people go out, like it's kind of, it's a thing people do. It's, whether it's for food or whether it's for spiritual quest or, whatever, like, but it's, it's a particular thing. And who's to say that all native peoples, all indigenous people before the Europeans came, were doing this, okay? I think it's far more likely that when we see stuff like, where were we? This one, it's much more likely that, the Europeans were kind of like coming in here and just like throwing some stuff together, some sticks and some, stones and whatever, because they just got here, right? They just came over. So who's more likely to be living in these little stick houses? The people who've been here for hundreds of years, who basically walk into cities whenever they want, and here are all these buildings, right? Because we didn't build them. And I doubt they did either. I mean, who's to say who built them? But anyway, I do think that. Okay, so here's a map of it's sort of a map of the Great Lakes with the various tribes that were using the area at the time. I don't see a date on that, but when I Googled it, excuse me, I believe that I put in 1800s, but this could be a much more modern thing. But I do notice, like, I'm seeing Seneca and Oneida. I've seen those guys before. Huron, they're still like totally. I know that Cherokee is much more up here. I know Iroquois is much more likely to be closer to Ottawa and closer to Quebec. So again, here we have Mohawk right there. This is us up here. Onondaga, Huron, Seneca. So Iroquois is down here at this point. The Ottawa are over here and not up here. So, there is some shifting around. And who's to say that they weren't shifting around there? This is a great map of Toronto. I'll show you guys in a minute. And here we have something, I think this is a little bit more modern. Okay, so this says 1760. So we have the Iroquois Confederacy, the Ottawa Wyandot, the Mississauga Ojibwe are up here, right? Either way, I have seen settlements, Iroquois settlements on the Toronto portion of Lake Ontario, in like, I think it was like the 1800s. I think it was like around 1812, at Fort York. And, if you're living in Toronto, guys, I just wanted to point this out to you. That's kind of cool. If you're living in Toronto, why would you be living in, these stick longhouses when, I'll get into that in a second, when you can be living, when there's this kind of stuff, just like in the city. So, as usual, I'm prepared. Everything's out of order. So I'm just going to whip through all my pictures and just kind of show you what I got. And then we'll finish this up because I have other stuff that I want to talk about in a different video. Hopefully today, maybe another time. So this incredible building is gone. There's our Queen's Park. It's a great fire. Some more pictures. You know what? I'm going to do something here. There we go.
I'm thy captain. We should be flying today at altitudes unlimited, and at a speed never known to thee before. Flying time is not considered, for thou art
So, this is our old city hall that was taken down. And I've actually had the pleasure of dining in this room. An aerial shot from 1935. A mere 25 years earlier, the entire city burned to the ground. Right? It's the island. And this is the island, 1927. And this is a castle in the Thousand Islands, near Gananoque, Ottawa. Right? To lock. Pretty amazing. Everyone's seen this. Not like that. Like this. Really? They weren't just living in here? Don't you think? Because they like this so much more.
Fasten your seatbelts, please.
Like, how fake is that? It's amazing. They were just exactly at the same spot.
Non-stop supersonic service to the New Jerusalem is now ready for boarding at the gate of death. Passengers holding confirmed reservations for this flight may proceed immediately to this gate through the Blood Spring concourse. Because the exact time of departure is uncertain, you are urged to remain ready at any moment. Thank you.
I don't know, guys. What do you think? Leave your comments below. Have a great night. God bless.